Hey gardeners, pretty soon I'm going to show you my largest, most expensive garden that I've installed to date. But first we are here at one of my very favorite gardens, one of my good friends, Jenny. She is amazing to me and her garden is so special because she actually got married in her backyard, which was the entire inspiration of why this whole space exists. Let's go talk to Jenny and I'll show you the space. Hey Jenny!
Hey Karen!
Hello! How's your garden?
It's doing great!
Good.
Thanks for coming!
Yeah, thank you for having us. So let's talk about a little backstory to this garden space. They went in 2 Aprils ago? Yep. We're in its 3rd year. The origin story though, and why she wanted this space is because
we wanted to get married in our backyard and have this garden space be the backdrop of our wedding.
This is a special space for me because not only is it making her property more beautiful, but it's the backdrop of her wedding. She literally got married in her backyard. So this was a beautiful open wedding with all this lush greenery in the background. Let's do a little tour. Before this existed, what was here?
Like weeds as tall as me.
Yeah, we literally had a dirt pile about right here with massive weeds just coming out of it. So the first phase of this was to do a proper cleanup. We brought in machinery and the guys, they were working hard. They were loading out, didn't they find like chunks of concrete and stuff?
Yeah.
Basically, the previous owners who lived here were just tossing whatever they wanted to back here to create a garbage pile. So we've literally turned a garbage pile into a garden oasis. So the big key focal points was the fence. We wanted to make sure that all of this bounty is protected. So we actually installed a fence on this one, meaning we could drop the boxes down to a 1-foot height. Usually we build them 2 foot tall to keep bunnies out. In this case, we kept it low roller here. And the beautiful trellis is the backdrop of this whole space. Tell me about the sign up there. That means something really special.
I had a sister that passed and our signs from her are butterflies. And my husband made me a sign right before the wedding and named our garden Butterfly Crossing.
So not only does this space hold like a lot of beautiful garden gifts and energy, but it's a constant little memoir to her. So that's why we popped in all these little pops of beautiful butterflies to keep that love rolling throughout the garden space. Talk to me a little bit about what you're growing this year, because this is Jenny's first year. I planted with her for the first couple years. I taught her the ropes, I taught her how to seed start, and then you've kind of sailed the ship here this year, right?
I did, yes.
How do you feel like you're doing?
Great, I feel like everything's looking great.
I mean, look at what you've grown. You've grown an alien kohlrabi the size of like nearly a basketball.
Yeah, it is like my sanctuary space. I come out here just to get some basil and I'll be 2 hours later and Joe's like, where's my basil? And I'm like picking worms or pulling weeds or whatever is my little happy place out here.
I love that. Tell me about what's growing up your trellis.
This year I've got spaghetti squash, another squash, butternut squash, and they are already climbing.
So you can see that these have a character, right? They are vining, and unlike tomatoes, they actually do have little tentacles that will wrap themselves around whatever is around them. So it's important to give them something to go vertical on, which is why we do so many different varieties of supportive vertical structures. I mean, this guy, he's gripping on for dear life. It's like one of those little phone, you know those old school phones? Cord phone?
Yeah.
Does anybody have this anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, basically, he's shooting out this little cord phone tentacle. So one thing that I love about Jenny, because I can totally empathize, is that she has utilized every little piece of space in this garden. This little box was added on after we were done. She found the opportunity to use the fence to grow peas on. So she put in this cute little, 1-foot box to get even more bounty. This is the main garden space, and then you can sneak around to the back side. Jenny, we have a situation here in this back nook. Tell us what happened back here.
Karen told me to plant 4 strawberries and 2 raspberries for this whole long L.
How long do we think this stretches? Probably 16 feet?
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like a lot of plants, right?
Right.
I'm telling you to put in 3 strawberries, 4 strawberries max, just a couple of
And I was like, there's no way. So I did double that, and now 3 years later, here we have a situation.
We have a situation.
Yummy.
What'd you call it?
A yummy disaster.
A yummy disaster. It is a beautiful yummy disaster.
So we have lots of strawberries to harvest, but I have a lot of nieces and nephews and friends that help
Who
eat
doesn't love fresh strawberries?
Who doesn't love fresh strawberries?
Yeah, and these are ever-bearing strawberries. So if you're getting strawberries to put in your garden, I recommend ever-bearing, meaning they continually produce berries throughout the season. And so these strawberries, they didn't exist a couple years ago. These are the runners that have popped out into the granite and got relocated back here. Good thing you have a big yard. You can just keep popping.
It's gonna go all the way down.
You're gonna have a berry patch by the time we're done with this. You can complete the garden walk here, and there's an exit point. In year one, this is all we did. We did the fence back, and then Jenny, that wasn't enough. Look at this. She even put a little, I didn't even know this existed. Yeah. There's a cute little box to grow peas on this side of the fence too, which I think is brilliant.
Gotta utilize the space.
Really brilliant. What do you have growing in the bags over here?
Potatoes.
Potatoes are a really good thing to grow in a sack, so that way when you harvest them, you're not digging up the roots of the other plants around them. You throw down a tarp, dump it out, separate the soil from the potatoes, and then you can just put that soil right back in the same bag and grow new potatoes next year. Who is this little garden friend of yours?
Oh, this is my little sassy Chihuahua sweetie. She is my little garden helper.
Aww.
She loves me. She just loves sitting under like the peach tree in the shade and just hanging out with me. We will have a future little gardener, whether it's a little boy or a girl, be coming out here helping me pulling weeds, planting, learning the ropes.
So you'll be passing the torch down to the next generation.
The torch, absolutely.
That's so important to me too. Just like making sure these future generations are getting their hands dirty and in the dirt. So I just love that. It warms my heart to know that future little Jenny or Joe will have this already, built in to their life. So that was Jenny's garden space. So now let's go check out my most expensive, biggest, luxurious garden I've done to date. So are you ready to see the most largest expensive garden space that I've created to date? I'm so excited to share this with you. So let's make the trek. You may think that we're almost there and you're like, where's the garden? Where's the garden? Well, when I first came onto this property, I was kind of wondering that too. Where do you want to put it? They actually have a beautiful big yard and it's back here, the Shangri-La of all garden spaces. This property was untapped potential when I laid my eyes on it 2 years ago. This was my biggest, most grandest project in year 2 of Homegrown Gardens, and you can see it is massive. We didn't just do this main central garden space, but we actually installed all the landscaping behind it. In total, it's 10,000 square foot. So really, when I got my eyes on it, it was kind of like, whoa, what do we do? There's so many options, so many potentials. But first and foremost, we wanted to make sure they got a garden. So let's start with the main focal point garden space. We have rough sawn cedar boxes that are 2 foot tall on the perimeter and 18-inch height on the interior. We have pretty much everything growing in here, whether it's a pepper or a squash or a cucumber, tomatoes, of course. There's a lot going on. One thing though that they really wanted to make sure is that they could maintain it, because they had a big landscape and so we needed a big garden to kind of fit the bill, right? But they have 3 children and so they wanted to make sure this wasn't going to be an overwhelming undertaking. My solution to that was to fill up the middle boxes with perennials that you really don't have to do too much to. Around here in the center, this is the main hangout area, right? This is where everybody clearly gathers around a solo stove, a fire pit. We just kind of laid out an open 13 by 13 foot square in the center to do whatever they want to with. Such a beautiful use of their space in the inside. Over here, we have, these are blackberry bushes. And as we turn the corner here, we'll find the raspberries in this box. The perimeter boxes is where we hold all of the goodies of the annuals, the vegetables that I grow. So we have some, similar themes in my garden spaces. The kale, of course. We actually popped in some yellow onions here. This year, we are mixing up where we pop in the tomatoes. Last year, we had the tomatoes in the round cages, and this year we're putting it on the linear trellis, and it's really important to rotate your crops of where you plant your cucumbers, your tomatoes, your squash. So it's so important to have multiple vertical supports so that you can rotate every single year to keep the soil nice and happy. Now this is a beautiful trellis. It sets off the stage, right? You're in the garden area, and we had to level everything out here to make this nice and flat. And we put in these awesome outcropping stones to kind of set the stage for what's to come, which is the rest of the yard. We landed on grass paths. The homeowners, they actually wanted to keep more sod than what I would have. I proposed we actually take it all away and do decomposed granite paths. They kind of landed on, no, they have children and they wanted to kind of create this magical space for their daughters to just run through and enjoy. So I actually love that we did grass paths as well. The biggest thing about this garden space when I was here was there was this drain, this ugly eyesore drain in the middle of this entire 10,000 square foot space. So we were like, what do we do with this? Our solution was to create a bridge. And what also connects the dots in this space are all of these beautiful river rock beds that run throughout. So we have pockets, we have the garden, we have these Japanese white spires, which actually soak up a ton of water. They had water issues here with the drain. So we're helping solve that problem by planting appropriate plants that love water, they thrive, and it helps dry out the land. And so these river rock beds, they meander through the Japanese white spires and then back into the orchard. So we actually put in a bunch of fruit trees. This is an apricot tree. It's totally experimental. When they wanted this, I said, I don't really know if they grow here in Illinois, but I'm always up for somebody who wants to experiment with it. So we haven't got an apricot yet, but clearly the tree is pretty happy. So these are apples here. And this would be Katie's first year of having an actual apple harvest. It takes, again, about 2 to 3 years for them to really set fruit that the tree can support and hold. So this is so exciting to actually see the tree start to produce fruit. And these are peach trees, and they too are starting to really collect some good fruit here. In the middle, we did a lot of different ground covers, which are kind of wrapping up for the season. Now this central spot really shows off in the spring. We popped in Creeping Jenny, which is the bright lime green, a juga that has this cute little purple flower on it, and it really just fills this space in nicely. And then in the middle, we have a little bit of Lily of the Valley. That'll spread as the years go on. So this is our spring pop of life. We installed these slabs just to create like a stone bridge. Again, it's all aesthetic. It's really fun and charming and whimsical. So I always love just playing with different materials, whether it's plants or rocks or stones, and just kind of creating an artwork here. It's a beautiful tapestry that we're working with. So then last but not least for our trees, we put in 2 tricolor beech trees. They have a really fun contrast of the whiter bark and the purple pink color on the foliage. If you get up close, you can actually see the striations. It has hot pink exterior lines and a nice dark pink or dark purple interior. Sometimes you'll even get splashes of green in there. Now, I love my Iowa State Cyclones, and we are kind of bred to be nemesis with the Hawkeyes. And I will say, after meeting these homeowners, they are just the most warm, loving Hawkeyes that I've ever met. So I am softening my tune on, you know, peace and namaste when it comes to college sports in Iowa, but go State. Here we have dwarf butterfly bushes. They will shoot off little pops of purple, kind of spiky things that will attract butterflies. And that's kind of later in the season, so it's kind of nice to have something then. Last but not least, we have the grapevines. Again, gardening is always experimental. So we want to find out like what works, what doesn't. And every fall I take cuttings from my old grapevines and I stick them in the ground and see what happens. So these are it. These are products from my grapes at my old place. In year 3, you can see she's actually getting grapes this year, which is exciting. So with these grapes, you would just see how it actually attaches. The goal is to get him up here and then let him go that way, and you'll have that linear grapevine action going on. So a couple more years to let this get established, but I'm happy to see, you know, a couple of these really thriving. They're starting to take off. So this project, we started it in, I believe, July of 2021, and we probably wrapped it up in August of 2021. So you are looking at a full month's work. We had machinery in here. We had a skid steer. We had a post hole digger attached to this massive machine. And it was some serious construction that went on here for a solid month before all of this beauty came to life. This is the wonderful woman that has entrusted me with 10,000 square feet of her yard. I can't believe you said yes to this, but thank you so much.
I can't believe it either.
I know, but here we are. We're living in this like massive, beautiful space. So I just wanted to share, you know, my gratitude for you and everything. Like, you've given me the opportunity to even do this.
Well, gosh,
so it's so
you know
cool.
what you've given me.
Well, yeah,
Oh my God.
yes, but it really does mean a lot. So I would love to know from you, what has been the most exciting thing? What's most fun for you? Like, what gets you excited about the space?
Oh my gosh, so many things. It's totally taken off this summer and it's been so awesome to watch. It's so gratifying. There's not just all the things that we are harvesting and what my kids are taking from it, getting them out here and they're so curious about what they're seeing pop up.
Yeah.
But it's just, the space is so glorious.
Yeah.
It's just so peaceful.
So
and
it just creates a space for you to like just relax in.
Yeah.
I love it so much. And it means a lot to me to like pass on these skills to you and also future generations. Katie is on a plant adventure journey and I'm here with her. Every step of the way. Every step of the way. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining me on this tour of my most beautiful, expansive, expensive garden that I've done to date. I can't wait to go on to the next. Just a little teaser here. There may be one coming up quite soon. So stay tuned, subscribe below, and thank you so much for following.
Want me to just yank this out?
Yeah, Katie, if you think they're ready. Looks perfect.
Yeah.
There you go.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Weightlifting.